1975. And you can hear there's an awful lot about how you think in it and what it means to question. The second is a thinker you'll think you all know. The thinker in question is Karl Marx. And this is his greatest essay and one of his weirdest. He writes this in 1852. And that matters. It's after the failure of a revolution. The only thing you will ever have read of Karl Marx, as likely as not, is the Communist Manifesto. Anybody read the Communist Manifesto here? Or am I talking to somebody who nobody's read any of them? No. Nah. Right, the Communist Manifesto was in 1848. There was a revolution in France. He thought this was it. He thought communism was round the corner, and it failed. And this is his attempt to understand that failure. Why, he's asking himself in this essay, do humans fight for their oppression as truly as they fight for their freedom? It's a deep question in modern philosophy. Hegel, before I start, is another philosopher who he's being rude about. Really very rude. Hegel says somewhere, you know, in some book, all history repeats itself. But you know, the old fool forgot to say, the first time, that's a tragedy. And the second time, that's a farce. What do we say of our modern politics in your time and mine? What do we say of our political leaders but farce? Here are shallow leaders who hide their lack of vision, their lack of ideas, their lack of plans in the windy rhetoric of the past. Try to sell us old dead revolutions. Oh, history repeats itself for one simple reason, my friends. We men! We make our own history, but we do not make it in the circumstances of our own choosing. Consciousness of the dead weighs like a nightmare on the minds of the living, but most heavily it weighs on those who have something new to say. Think then of the great Luther. Here was a man who taught the world the beauty of faith, who taught the world to sing a new song. But did he do it in his own name? Of course not. He pretended to be St. Paul, born again. And it is ever thus with those who will talk the future language. They mum their parts, they muff their lines, they would retreat back into the past languages they know so well, the past poetries. Look then at the great revolution in France, at Danton, Saint-Just, Robespierre, Napoleon himself. They changed the world, they crushed an order, but did they do it in their own name? No. They pretended to all who would listen. They were but classical antiquity born again. It was in the name of Rome, I tell you. They tore down the feudal order and crushed it under their foot and set the fire of revolution abroad in all of Europe. And what was the result? Something quite unlooked for by them and unthinkable in Rome. For what was their freedom? But the freedom to trade. What was their equality but the right to own property? What then was their fraternity but the crushing of a feudal order? And who gained their eternity but the bourgeois republic, with its corrupt bureaucrats and its politicians and its millionaires paying for favours? And what did such men care for the heroic trades that had watched over their birth? Nothing. But I tell you, my comrades, it is always thus. Look at stern Oliver, the great Oliver of the Revolution. Here was a man who single-handedly tore down the monarchy, decapitated it. But did he do it in his own name? No! To all in sundry he pretended to be Habakkuk or Enoch born again, some Old Testament prophet put back to purge the world. And with what result? I will tell you with what result. In the end of a generation you have that old bean counter Locke trying to work out the value of his slaves and calling that freedom. But at least in all these revolutions, our thinkers had something new to say. But what do we say of our modern politicians? What are they but fools? What are they but squalid gamblers? People who have no vision, who use the windy rhetoric of the past, who use battles of a generation or more ago, who dress up what they're doing up in some progressive alliance, some utter nonsense. And what happens to these politicians? Are they drummed out? Are they forced back into the asylums from which they came? No! The people vote them in. They talk knowledgeably about their debt to this party or that, in my time and in yours. And in this, I'm sure, they are all rather like that madman. The one in the cartoon. Oh, you know the one. The cartoon by Hogarth of Bedlam, with some gibbering fool in the front, dressed in the apparel of a slave of ancient Egypt. And he says, this madman, oh, unhappy is my lot. I, a free-born Englishman, who has been enslaved by the pharaohs and build their monuments. And all the while, if only he was sane, this man could go through the door. Ah, the public who vote these tyrants in, not the same. They are willingly putting their neck in the halter, while the politicians are taking the piss and drawing it so hard and so fast. Oh, my comrades in revolution, I tire of this poetry of the past. Let this dead bury the dead. Let you and I sing a new song for our revolution. If we do not, I fear the world is as good as lost. But if we can, oh, if we can, maybe all is still to gain. Probably enough philosophy for now. I will be back with some more